Hey guys, welcome back to Trek on the Tube and welcome back to yet another Star Trek review. Today we're talking about Star Trek Short Treks Episode 8, E-Frame and Dot. Yes, it's E-Frame and Dot that comes first. I know some people believe it's the other one, but that's wrong. The confusion comes from the fact both episodes were released at the same time with no official communication as to which order they were supposed to be in. That's why Crave TV, for example, has them the wrong way around. Star Trek's official Twitter account, however, later released these little posters on which we can clearly see Episode 8 written on the E-Frame and Dot one, thus confirming its position in the order. I've talked about this for far too long already. I'm sorry. Let's jump right in. For starters, as it officially stands, this is the first animated Star Trek project to be released as canon since the animated series began and ended in the 70s. As you may or may not know, the canonicity of the animated series is still up for debate in the minds of some even today, and so honestly I thought that this Short Treks episode would kind of put that discussion to rest. I was sorely wrong. If anything, it's created a second discussion. It's become a whole thing. Anyway, in reference to the animated series, just in case you're a little confused, know this. It was canon when it was made and aired. Then, for a time, when the movies started coming out, Gene Roddenberry wanted to remove it from canon, but no official action was taken. For a while there, things stayed like that in a kind of state of confusion, but then in 2007, all of the events from the show were added to the official Star Trek website, just like every other show had been added before, finally making the animated series canon, no questions asked. Since then, both the Kelvin Timeline films and Discovery have referenced and relied on events from that show, as they have from every other show in the franchise. I hope this clears things up. Alright, Star Trek Short Treks, Episode 8, E-Frame and Dot. Let's talk about it. First my review, then the Easter eggs. We also have a bit of a discussion about continuity to have. Yeah. So what do I think? E-Frame and Dot is basically a cat and mouse episode in space. It's very Tom and Jerry in its storytelling. We have a robot chasing a mother tardigrade around, the both of them getting into various shenanigans, most of which exist for comedic reasons. It actually reminded me a lot of Oh Solar Meow, a very old episode of Tom and Jerry that takes place on a space station. I used to love Tom and Jerry as a kid, especially that episode. I don't know, I just love the aesthetic, you know, the 60s, 70s vibe of the vision of the future that they had, that retro-futuristic look. I think it's real cool. Kind of Jetsons. Anyway, moving on. I'm getting off track. Back to E-Frame and Dot. The episode is, in my opinion, beautifully animated. I think that the art style is fresh and bold, reminiscent of Duck Dodgers in a lot of ways with the blending of 2D and 3D elements. The character and ship movements are fluid, the camera angles make sense, and the colors pop on screen. Which is fantastic because considering most of this short happens on the Enterprise during the Kirk era, having bright, beautiful colors is not only faithful to the original series, but also a nice homage to how that show utilized over-the-top colors in a time when most other programs on TV were still in black and white. But that's not all. That's great and respectful to what came before. The music in this short is breathtaking. Not only did Michael Giacchino direct the episode and compose the music, which makes for a very organic blend of both story and sound, but there's also so many tonal and melodic nods to classic Star Trek themes. I love that. I really did. So the style, the music, the directing, the color palette, yes, thumbs up. But here's where things get a little iffy. In theory, the concept of having a tardigrade being chased around by a little maintenance robot is fun, and it's even more fun if you add the possibility of incorporating a huge amount of nods and references to classic Star Trek events from episodes and movies alike, which is what this episode does. But the execution of said concept has to be, well, it has to be on point. And here, it's not. I loved seeing Kirk and Bones and Khan animated. I loved seeing the big green hand in space and the tribbles. I loved seeing the Enterprise go down from a different angle. Ask my wife. I love these things. I love seeing, you know, events that we've already seen but from different angles, different perspectives. I love having a better understanding of what's happening or like learning about new characters that were in the background. I love that. I love that stuff. As a fan, I find it fulfilling. But E-Frame and Dot mucks it up, which truly disappoints me because I love the idea that these maintenance robots have always existed and been around, we just had never seen them before. I love the idea that sometimes space creatures, like for example the tardigrade, spend time on the ship doing their own thing with nobody noticing. I like the idea of the ship being a home for these eggs for years and years, and now and then this tardigrade just pops back into the life, you know, so to speak, of this robot. But it wasn't done right. For starters, the robot seems very advanced, almost as much as Data. At least as much as the exocomps, which I guess in Star Wars that's alright. Droids are a thing over in their fandom. But for us, in Star Trek, it creates huge problems. Don't get me started on the ethical and moral dilemmas of Starfleet using sentient robots to clean and repair ships. Next up, if they had Mother Tardigrade here travel through the mycelial network in order to catch up the ship each time, one could argue that the Tardigrade is time traveling, or at least experiencing or perceiving time differently, and so this justifies the amount of varying events we see happen in such a short time. But it doesn't look like the Tardigrade is doing that. It just looks like it's following the ship, at warp speed. And then, I don't know, this is the wrong ship. It shouldn't be the A. It should just be the refit. And even if it is the refit, then the engine room is wrong because, it was changed. I will go over all of the Easter eggs in a minute, by the way. Don't worry about it. Just know that in this episode in particular, most to all of the Easter eggs end up being kind of errors. Not to mention that this short starts off as a sort of educational video, which complicates things even more because I don't even know how to, take this. I don't even know what kind of context this has. Frankly, I don't even know how to explain all this. It's too much for me. I need someone who can deal with canon and continuity on a professional level. Lucky for us, I have that. Aha, yeah. That is a direct line to the ICPD, the International Canon Police Department. So, I think we can call them. What do you think? We'll call them? Alright, let's smash that button and see what happens. Yeah, hello, this is Trek on the Tube. I need the Canon Police Department ASAP. Okay, that's actually the first time I've done that, so I don't know what their response time is. It could take hours, frankly. I could have used the Canon Police, in the first season of Discovery. That would have been actually quite... Oh, wait a minute. Yes? Canon Police Department, you called? Yes? Well, what's your question? Let's get cracking. I got a new Star Wars movie coming out, and there's a new show, so it's chaos. Do I have to talk to the camera, by the way? Is that what I gotta do? Alright. Oh, yeah, I believe you. Star Trek, Short Treks, E-Frame, and Dot. Do you need... Oh, God, not this again with the Short Treks, the E-Frame, and the Dot. We've received thousands of calls in the past few days alone. Alright, the question is about continuity, not canon. Every Star Trek episode released under CBS is canon. Regardless of what you think and your opinion is, and you too, sir. Yeah, but... And that includes the Short Treks too, son. It does. Yes, it does. It includes the Short Treks. Every Short Treks episode is canon until CBS makes some kind of, official announcement. Continuity-wise, however, they have issues. Within Star Trek and any other kind of fandom, every movie and every TV show, every episode kind of has to respect a certain level of continuity and coherence. Some episodes are really good at it, some episodes are not. And so sometimes it's difficult to reconcile them with the rest of, the overarching story, in this case, Star Trek. E-Frame and Dot is one of those episodes, right? Alright, conclusion. Continuity, wrong. Coherence, none. Contradictions, quite a few. Confusion, quite a lot, because I don't even know if this is supposed to be a real episode or if it's a kind of educational video for the kids and then it was started in black and white and then, I don't know, it's very confusing. Canon, sadly, yes. Have a good day, sir. Have a good day. Well, thanks. Okay, he's gone. Alright, I wasn't expecting that at all, but there you have it. E-Frame and Dot. It's a cute, fun episode. It's pretty heartwarming. It's beautiful to look at and wonderful to listen to. But the cop said it. It's inconsistent with the rest of Star Trek, and sadly, being unable to reconcile many of the events or visual errors with our beloved movies and shows does take quite a lot away from it. We now move on to the Easter eggs and references part of the video, and brace yourselves because there's so much to talk about. Let's go. For starters, the person narrating the episode is Kirk Thatcher. That name might not ring any bells, but this guy might. Yep, that's right. Kirk Thatcher is indeed the punk on the bus from the brilliant Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. I know it's not really an Easter egg, but it's always fun to talk about returning actors, especially when they do things that are completely different. We now move on to this. This is the Salt Monster from the original series. I know a bit about the Salt Monster. We then get to see an iconic moment from the original series episode, Space Seed. Khan is in sickbay, Kirk and McCoy are talking to him. I'm pretty sure the audio was taken directly from the original series episode, and although here the scene is animated, it's almost identical to the original. The only thing that changes is the angle from which the scene is shown. Before, we were in the room with the characters, here we watch it through the window. Window that didn't originally exist, I think, in the original series, but I mean that's a whole other discussion. The uniforms are near identical, sickbay looks spot on, it really simply is an animated recreation of that moment in the episode. We then move on to Tribbles, which at this point are no more Easter eggs in Star Trek than Vulcans or the Red Alert, but hey, who doesn't like a Tribble? Next up, there's a scene from the original series episode The Naked Time, taking place in the background. Classic no-shirt Sulu swings a sword around at his crewmates. Again, the scene is practically identical to the original live-action version, but this time we're seeing it from a completely different angle, just like the scene in sickbay. Flying through space, we then see the big green hand that grabs the Enterprise in yet another original series episode, Who Mourns for Adonias. Just after that, we see the long, intimidating planet killer from the Doomsday Machine, yet another original series episode followed closely by a few Tholian ships and their infamous trap, first featured in the Tholian Web. You guessed it, yet another original series episode. Then, of all the Easter eggs possible, the episode goes with Abraham Lincoln in space, which I found bizarre because I didn't think that was such an iconic image, but then, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, this is pulled directly from yet another original series episode, The Savage Curtain. We then get an alternative look at the battle between the Enterprise and the Reliant from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, before the ship self-destructs. This is taken from Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. In that movie, Kirk and friends are on the planet's surface, looking up at the ball of flames, and the camera is with them. In this shot, the camera is with the Mother Tardigrade in space, looking down at the ship instead. Different viewpoint of the same event. It's awesome. It's so fun to think that the tardigrade was always there in the original scene and we just had no idea. Finally, the last of the Easter eggs is not a visual one, it's actually the music in the fight scene between Mother Tardigrade and Robot Thing. The music is very clearly a stylized or alternate take on the music playing in the famous, or infamous, depending on who you ask, fight scene between Captain Kirk and the Gorn. And that's it. That should be all of them. On a side note, I just wanted to point out that this episode is all about saving eggs and features Easter eggs throughout its entirety. I wonder if that was done on purpose. I know it's a little on the nose, but it's not like it's never been done before. Ready Player One, you know, the movie, made the Easter egg of the game an actual egg. So it's clearly a thing that someone finds funny somewhere. Anyway, what did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys think of Star Trek's return to animation? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. Don't call the Canon Police for just any old question. They seem pretty busy. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. You can support this channel on Patreon. You can become a patron if you want, like all of these fine people listed on screen. And, as usual, live long and prosper.